So you have to teach online and you don't have the first clue about teaching math with technology. So how do you decide on which platform to use? There are so many out there. Well, in this video, I'm going to share my process for deciding on which platform is the right platform for teaching math. So welcome to another 10 minutes with the Ignited Teacher. My name is Michelle, and if you're new here, it is my goal to help math teachers close achievement gaps and to deliver high quality instruction. In order to choose the right platform for your students, you first have to have a goal in mind. Why are you using this platform? So for me, with Flipgrid, Flipgrid is a tool that helps teachers to really open up the students' thinking, getting them to explain and to collaborate, and it really amplifies student voice. So for me, when I was choosing Flipgrid, I actually wanted my students to explain their thinking because my voice was really overpowering my students' voice, and I really wasn't listening to what they were having to say, especially in conversations. And I wanted the children to see how their voice were powerful and how it could spark up conversation and help the other students. The second thing is you have to know your audience. Now, with this whole coronavirus situation, my students come from a large urban population, and we know with urban students there are definitely a lot of issues with accessibility and equity when it comes to technology. That digital divide is really big, and I have learned that throughout all of this, I choose platforms that are actually mobile friendly because sometimes all my students have are cell phones, and Google is a really good option. They have worked out all of the kinks when it comes to really truly being mobile friendly. So I'm a huge fan of Google Classroom as well as Microsoft products because they are the leaders in these educational platforms, making sure that everybody has access to these platforms, whether it be via computer, tablet, or your cell phone. The third and final thing that you should be looking for and considering when choosing a math platform is you have to know how you want to deliver your content. Now, for example, with me, I moved up to high school, and the concerns that my elementary students had were not the same concerns that my high school students have. My ninth graders, it's all about beauty. It's all about how do I look. It's about the camera. Who knew? They were camera experts. They told me that the computer that the school issued, it was an Android camera. Well, who knew that? So a lot of my students, and I'm laughing because a lot of my students would not use the school computer to film their Flipgrid videos. Or they wanted to upload a profile pic that the camera didn't take, or it was taken with their phone. So it was a lot of different issues. But Microsoft has made Flipgrid so friendly to where the students don't have to actually show their faces. They can use the whiteboard to explain their thinking, and all is well in the teenage world. And the students don't have to feel like, they're the ugly duckling, because I did have a student that actually felt like she was ugly, but she's a beautiful student. But, Microsoft did a really good job when they upgraded and added the whiteboard functionality, because my students feel comfortable in their own skin and I still can accomplish the goal in the way that I wanted to deliver my content. So now I'm going to give you a brief introduction into my thinking about how I go through evaluating platforms. I do it with Flipgrid and go through the processes of how that's actually done. So this is Flipgrid, and this is one of the topics that I created for my students, and it was interpreting models. And what I'm going to do is take you through how I look at this platform before I started using it. I think it's been about 4 years since I started using Flipgrid. Now, the one thing that I like about Flipgrid is its functionality. For example, with your stimulus or your stimuli, you can have a picture. So we were doing properties of equalities, and the children would have to interpret this and create the actual equation and solve it. So that was my stimuli for this problem. You could also use a video, and you can also have a GIF for the students as well. So you could have 3 different types of stimuli for the children to respond to. Also, it has interactive, it's this reader where children who struggle with reading, it'll actually read it for them. So I was saying previously that I liked Flipgrid because and Microsoft products, because the Microsoft products and the Google products actually have gone through all of those things that they think about with accessibility, and they put it into their program. So they think about the translating of the websites. They think about, what if people cannot read it? What if it's not mobile friendly? How can we use the least amount of graphics to bring this up? For a person to run it on, to access it. So here's 3 of the responses. I like the responses system because if you notice in this video, this student can use algorithm, which is the numbers with the whiteboard, whereas this student, I'm going to put faster. So she actually could draw her equation and show it that way. And it just tells you where the students are with the process in math, because some students, whether they're in high school or not, they are at the conceptual level, and that's where she was. Now, the goal was to move the students from the conceptual to the abstract, but it's a process, and the children, you can't rush them through it. But it gives you an insight into where the children are based on how they are explaining and solving the problem. Now, I really, really like that. So this platform met my goal for students explaining their thinking and becoming a part of the process. Also, it helps with, it satisfies that box about the audience. As you saw, I'm a response to intervention teacher. So the immersive reader part is definitely a plus plus and a win in my book, because it checks that box for my students who are either reading below grade level or who are just or have disabilities. So the last box is knowing your audience. So it checks that box too. So my students don't always have access to computers. So it loads very easily on mobile devices. There's an app to go with it as well. So this platform I would actually use because it checks all of the boxes that I needed to check as far as my goal for what I'm using this for. My audience, does it provide the accessibility that they need if they don't have access to a computer? And the last one is, does it actually speak to how I want to present my content or how I want the students to present their content? And does it give me the information that I need on my students to make the instructional decisions that I need to make to move them forward? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in my next video.